Hey, my name's Eric. It's Monday evening. I'm making faces that you can talk to, you can have conversations with. I'm making a tool to create these faces. So let's demo. Let's demo what I did yesterday on a Sunday when I had more time than most days. I'll show you. Don't worry, I'm going to show you. Don't worry. All right. So we got this much modified screen. It looked a lot different one day ago. One day ago it was completely different. I should say 2 days ago. Or at the beginning of yesterday, it looked much different. So now it's got these separated areas, panes, these rounded corners and everything. It's got all the buttons that I used to have along the top of the screen. I put them in this separate view pane. And the idea here is that everything that you click inside of here only changes the view. It doesn't change anything about the face definition. So I can still click all these buttons like I used to and make the motions change, make the eye positioning or the eyelids change. Let's see. Then I forged ahead a little bit beyond the actual functionality that I have and just made some UI only functionality. So there's this little selector bar here. You can use it to select which part you want. Okay. And then there's a selection pane over here, which is mostly unpopulated at this point. But this would contain any parameters or settings that you might tweak for each part. For the head, we'll eventually have skin color and hair color. It'll allow you to replace the part. You go off to, it does nothing now, but eventually you'll be able to go off to another dialogue that says, here's some different head shapes you can use, and you pick the head shape you want. It'll come back and replace the part with that specific head that you picked. So yeah, and this came from a design I did on Saturday in just a wireframe form. I thought out pretty well, like all the different things I might need to do on this faces screen. One thing I didn't add in was this action bar up at the top. And I think that's coming next in this session. So this guy right here, it's meant to have like operations that apply to everything or involve like file related stuff, import, export, open, new. I'll need a few more buttons for new and open, but I already have like import and export shown in the wireframe. So it's kind of the same concept as a menu bar, except I don't want like all these drop downs coming down. I don't think my screens are going to have so much functionality that I'll need that. So just be a nice little button bar up top. If I need to later on, I can have drop down menus, but I would really like to see how far I can get without using drop down menus. I like a style where there's less things you can do in a screen and you go to a different screen if you want to do something else. I'm just not a fan of what I call cockpit UX, where you design dense instrumentation and buttons to handle it like 100 use cases on one screen. I would prefer to have maybe 10 use cases handled by a screen. And that's a reason why I have this home page here, which has got 4 different areas you can go into. Each one is one screen. And it presupposes a certain kind of workflow where you work on the faces, and when you got the faces ready, you might work on something else. And like you go work on spiels, which is dialogue that characters say. You don't need to be working on faces at the same time you're working on spiels, and vice versa. Speech also has its own parallel task area where you need not hop around to the others in order to make progress on it. So I'm just a big fan of that style of design. I don't know why it's not used more often. In fact, I don't know if I can come up with a single example of where it's used. But I think it's great. It matches how I actually do work. So anyhow, let's get to work. I only got like an hour and a half, a little less. Let's make an action bar. Let's make this guy appear. It will contain the name of the face that you can click on to rename. It will contain some buttons. And yeah. All right, let's do that. Action bar. And I'm thinking maybe I just build it right into the screen container. What is menu bar button used on? Who uses menu bar button? Menu bar button, menu bar. Screen container does. Okay, screen container does. It does import it. Oh. Render menu buttons. Confused. Okay. I think I was about ready to... Okay, I get it. Okay. So I just remembered. These guys are the menu bar buttons. So this is the menu bar. I feel like I could name it something better that doesn't confuse me, the person who came up with the first name. Nav bar would be better. Because I was already thinking, was I already making a menu bar button for putting up here? Let's call this a nav bar. That will be simpler for me to remember. First off, do I have like a ton of stuff to check in? Good status. I do. Okay. Or I could even call it the left bar. Let's name by function, not by layout. Nav bar. Okay, let's see if that was all I needed. Yeah, okay, so that was a successful rename. It's nice. Okay, now I'm just thinking a little bit. How do I want to structure this with my components? I could say the screen container takes properties that will define what is shown in that top bar. I could pass an array of elements. We'll go open that bar. I could let me close my Gmail so I don't actually accidentally expose something. I could just let the page that opens up define that bar. Okay. So I'm thinking it works like this. I'll go ahead and pass in button definitions as an array, as I've done for other things. And it will populate that. I need more than one group. So I'll have button groups. And then this thing over here, like the document name, I think that will probably apply to other things too. So that can be standardized. And then that should suffice for this screen and maybe be extendable to cover the needs of other screens, but other screens should end up reusing some of this functionality. Okay. So let's create the action bar. Okay, and go, let's see. So I kind of wonder, I've been saying interface, is that really what I want? If I did type props, is it just kind of the same thing? Type props is fine, just leave it. That's been working, leave it alone. Okay. Type button definition. You'd think I would just put one button definition someplace and reuse it, but the truth is it varies a little bit from one thing to another. So in this case, it might be the same. But actually, it's a little bit different. So now I can do group no number like that. Okay. Okay, so we can pass in the button definitions. Okay, then I'll have to create like action button. I think I will copy and paste a bit for that. Add action button. Action bar, action button, that seems fine. I suppose for consistency, action bar button. Okay. Paste. Text on click disabled. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, not very dry, but this is fairly dense. This is fairly dense. It's not a lot of code that's repeated. And I'm finding small differences between the different buttons. Action bar. Okay. Place, replace. A person might ask, why not just have one CSS file that they all use? Well, because there'll be changes made for individual buttons. And you don't want to affect all the other buttons by changing it in one place. CSS has different rules for dryness than regular code. Okay, action bar is going to need a module too. Return. Let's see. Well, I want to generate. I did. Okay, so return. Let's see. Const buttons equals generate buttons. Let's call this button elements. This actually, let's call it render. Okay. Then we can do sort by group. Oh, no, it's A button definition, B what? Oh, okay. That's right. Okay, do that. Wow. So what I really want is some data structures that separate out these buttons into groups. So let's get button groups from buttons in a different function, because that's just complex enough that it's worth group buttons. It's worth putting that in a separate function. Group buttons, yeah. Group buttons. Button definitions. And I think I'm returning a multi-dimensional array. Where the first element will be the group number. A little tricky, a little tricky. Okay, yeah, okay, no, I'll stick with that. The first is the group number, second is the button definition. Okay. Groups. Okay, button definitions for each. Okay. Okay. So then down here we say group push button definition. Okay. Then we return the groups, and that should have everything separated. Yeah, I was glad I put that in this different function. Okay. Button groups. Let's see. Return button groups. Map. think it's not going to call on the elements that are undefined. I think that's true. I think that is true. Okay, so div class name equals let's just do a span. Keep it all in line. Styles, action bar group. Okay. Then we say within this button group, we'll have another array. That'll be the definitions. And just return action bar button. Yeah. Text equals it's just I could be concise, but it'll be harder for me to understand it later. So let's just go ahead and multi-line it. This is not going to be a for each, it's going to be a map. Return that, okay. Be const text on click disabled equals the definition. Jesus Christ. Okay, return text equals text. Why the squigglies are looking wrong? Let's just put this in a function. I'm getting lost in the render button group. Then I'll put the span on the other end of that. Okay, this will be render buttons. Function render button group. Okay, button group. It's called group. This will be button definition, bam bam, like that, and then we'll return a JSX element array. Okay, and this is return group. Map button definition button no. Okay, and here return the friggin' action bar button, and it will JSX. Text equals text on click equals on click. It's weird that it squiggles like that specifically. Text on click disabled equals button definition. Okay. So there, I unsquiggled it. Also, I need key. That's why I put in the button now. And it's not usually the best practice to use the array index as a key, but since I know the membership of the array won't change, it's harmless to use the array index like this. If I felt like it would change, then I shouldn't use that as the key, because it'll confuse React's rendering. Okay, so this will have button elements inside of it. I'm just making just a simple menu bar kind of a thing here. I call it an action bar. Okay, so it renders the buttons, it renders the button group. That's enough new code. I should probably just make sure it works before I add any more new code to it. But it doesn't hurt anything to just throw like one more thing in here. Let's do input. Nah, because that'll be a complex thing. Okay, never mind. Let's just get this working before I move on to the next thing. So back to the screen container. It's gonna pass on some props. For the button definitions. So that is exported good. So let's go back to screen container, import the button definition and the action bar. Import action bar button definition from, let's be more specific, screen, bam, like that. Oh yeah, UI screen, there we go. Okay, so if I do that, then I can add to this action bar buttons. I feel like calling this action bar button definition, or let's say button definition as that. Okay, let me say action bar button definition down here. This should let us specify to the screen what action bar buttons should go in the action bar. Okay. That's the control pane on the left. This I'm going to rename. Okay, on this side, inside of the content pane, go into a bad place pretty soon. Okay. Let's see what I messed up. Oh yeah, gotta go up one. I keep on defining empty callback type, so let's go ahead and create. Okay. Group no. What? No. Come on. It's a type. Do I have to do that? Okay. Fine. Jesus. What? Oh. Okay, I get it. I'm being dumb. I'm being dumb. it's not an empty callback, but void callback. Do nothing, void. It's just not worth it. Whatever I'm trying to do, it's not worth it. Just do it the real simple way. Just go. Because this is like enabling temporary code anyways. Function, empty callback. There, that's it. That's all you need. Then you come down. Yeah. And this should actually be like that. There, okay. Or, you know what, it can just be a constant value that I set one time. Action. No, it won't be useful. It will not be useful to do that. So, because at some point I'll need to use currying with what I've got inside of this function. So let's stick with what you were going to do. You can refactor it later if you need to. Okay, and this will be open. Okay, and then import and export. Okay, so I come back down here. Got that. What's the complaint? Okay. I don't think it is. What do you recommend? Really? Because I think selection pane will be undefined by default, not null. I'll try it. Okay. Okay, so it's also going to complain about the other screen. Yep. Okay. Okay, and down below, I want my action bar. Now let's see if we have compilation. Wow. I'm having so much luck these days with getting new code to run correctly on the first try. The only thing left on this is basically CSS styling. Well, that's not entirely correct. There's also the other element that will come over here for the document name. Okay, let's start styling inside the browser. Yeah, I'm just kind of happy I didn't have to fuck around with all this stuff down here. It just popped in the right way. That's great. Okay, so this guy. I think, what am I looking for color here? Could use this accent color. I kind of like that because it connects this line here from the nav bar. And then that would let me give these buttons a different color that distinguishes them from all the other buttons on the screen. Because the stuff in these buttons tends to be like kind of big things. You don't want to click up here too quickly. So changing the button color might help a bit there. Yeah. I do like that background color. Okay. So let me define my classes. If I go to action bar module, I've got nothing there yet. Let's split that off to the right. By the way, if you got an IDE and it doesn't let you do this kind of split pane thing, you're in for a treat when you switch to an IDE that does let you do it. It really, really makes editing multiple source files easier. Okay, so come down here, let's take a look. I got styles action bar. Anything else? Action bar group. No class is needed on action bar button. Okay, action bar display flex. Just justify content and then space between. So if I do that, oh yeah, also I gotta do my color. Just that for now. Then I always forget the syntax, so I might as well just copy it over. accent orange. That's it. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, nice. So that puts these buttons over here and these buttons over here. That's pretty good. Let's do font size 2 rem. 1.5. Letter spacing 1 rem. No, I don't think that's right. Kind of like that. It's sort of like yeah, I do like that. Just let them disappear into the bar unless you hover over them a little bit. Yeah, okay. And then let's change the color to something not so bright. Although I don't know if that did anything. I think I have to apply it instead to one of these guys. Okay. Yeah, something about Chrome, it's not picking up my color changes very well. I blame it on Chrome. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong or missing something. But anyways, let's take what I've got and put that in the actual CSS and then come back and continue. The font size will be 1.3 rem. Let's see what that does. Okay, now I kind of want these the text to just dim. Color, just let's put some other color in. Maybe like that. I could also just take this color here and see how that does. I feel like that's not quite enough. If I dim it too much, it'll look disabled. So that's probably a good balance right there in between looking disabled and yeah. Back to here. I kind of, if I like it here, do I like it over here too? Do I like it on all the buttons? No, I don't like it on all the buttons because this up here has got the accent orange. I also think rename could go in here. Name of, I mean, it could just be another button, action bar button. And then the name of the document could be to the left. Maybe that's not a good place to put the name though. could also put the name right here. Instead of saying face, I could put the name of the face here and put a rename button off over here. And then these can just be menu bar or action bar buttons. Stupid thing with the bottom 100% going beyond what's wanted. I know how to fix it. It's just an annoying pain. Okay. So this is the content pane. Okay, let's update that. Okay, so that's not bad. So let's have this be the actual name of the document and do a rename button over here. Am I sure about that though? Because that is kind of weird. That is kind of weird now I think about it. Just thinking hard about the different things I could do here. I want a document name visible on the screen. I want it to be up in this bar, top left, consistently present. On all the screens that where you work on one thing at a time, they should always say the name of the thing up here. And then after that for renaming it. An easy thing would be just to have a rename option. New, open, rename. Yeah, there's some confusing stuff here. Kind of floating back and forth between what I know about the screen and what I think the user might experience looking at this screen. I think after a bit you get used to this area over here being your main navigation. That's not too hard. Between different areas and everything. I was toying with the idea of simplifying it and removing these and making it so you'd have to click on this guy, Wisp, to get back to this screen. So you can pick the next thing you want to do. That's kind of like put on your blinders just for the task at hand, work on just that task. Don't be distracted by anything else. That's what that's about. But that's kind of an orthogonal issue. The only thing that it maybe does make me think about is reduce the complexity of the screen by just removing these, which makes this stuff up here not count the same toward the complexity budget of the screen, but since I'm not near that threshold of it being too complex, then maybe this is okay. So, okay, for this session, I'm going to put the name of the document here on the left, and I'll go ahead and add new open rename, extra option to rename. And I may revise that later, but that's a pretty good set of things to finish up in the next 15 minutes or so. So let's come back over to here for the screen definition. Action bar, do I want it to pass anything down to the action bar? No, let the action bar just be the buttons. Here I can put span class name equals styles document name. Okay, and then bam, and then Actually, let's do document name. Okay, document name comes from props. And actually, no, just start with that. Start with that. Okay, so span or null. Okay. So that should not have broken anything. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Then let's go back up to face builder screen and let's put in document name. New face, who dis? Okay, got some CSS fiddling to do. So, a few things. User or span. You know what? I'm going to pass it down to the action bar. Because this whole thing is expecting a column-wise flexbox layout. I mean, I could make one more div inside to contain those. Okay, if I put it inside one div, then I've got less work to do with the layout inside of the action bar. But come back to the screen container. No, it should get passed through. It should get passed through. Okay. Okay, document name equals document name. Yeah, let's pass it through. That's the way to do it. Document name element equals blah. Okay. Go into the action bar. Add in document name. Okay. Down here we say document name equals that. Okay. That. Okay. Then we do some spans, I think. Also, what's wrong with that? It's right here. Oh no. right here. Okay. So just put this inside of its own span. Class name equals styles, buttons. I can also just put that there. That might be better actually. So button elements, then this will be document name element. Okay. And then render buttons will be function render button area, and then just wrap that. Return span class name equals styles button area, and then render buttons, button definitions. What? There we go. Okay, this down here, let's call it button area element render button area. Okay, then this guy comes down here. All right. So then, what do we have? Not bad, but I need a little more CSS. Action bar module, where you at? Okay, button area. Be display flex, justify content space between, no, you got no class on that. On this is button area. You got two groups underneath it. I did expect those to just extend out. Maybe I need to do, on the parent up here, I need to do some manipulations. So that's display flex. Flex direction should be row. What's the other one? Document name. Flex grow 1. Button area. Flex grow 2. Okay. Okay. What if I do 1. Does that go half and half? Yeah, or I don't know about that. Okay. Document name, flex growth 0. Just give it like a minimum width of 10 REM. Okay, then it's gonna need okay, so what if I took the document name and I made the background color equal to this guy over here. That kind of breaks this little orange continuation thing. I guess I want some kind of separator between this area and then the buttons off over here. I'm setting it to red so I can see its boundaries better. Padding left. Let's do border, right, style, solid, border, right, width, 0.2 REM, border, right, border, right, color. I'll just reuse an off-white color. Okay. looking at the font color. And what if we did something like... No? What happens if I change this to dashed? It's not bad. All right, let's go with that for now. I've got misgivings about it, if I'm honest, but it's not bad. It's not bad. And it feels like if I'm gonna fiddle with it further, I should finalize other things first. Okay, so if I look back at my document name, put all this stuff in, some of these colors. Yeah. With the white. Is that really just white? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay, and then let me think about names. Background content, okay. Do I have anything close to this already defined? Let me check. Dark brown, let's try that one. Okay, that holds up. Okay, then I'll add rename over there. Doesn't look bad. It does make me reflect on icons and the value of using text versus icons. If I go to something like so Photoshop, it's just all kinds of little symbols that you memorize after a bit. And there's the assumption that you'll keep coming back to it again and again. You can mouse over, get the little pop-up. All right, this is a good place to stop the stream. I did what I said I was going to do at the beginning. That is victory. And I like to end on victory. Victory for you, victory for me. in the streams.